So things aren't looking too good at Meta, guys. Wall Street Journal just came out with an article with some inside information saying that Meta is going to start doing some mass layoffs this week. So I want to jump ahead into the article and give you guys my thoughts on it. So this article says Facebook parent Meta is preparing to notify employees of large-scale layoffs this week. And as you guys know, this is coming on the heels of Twitter laying off almost half of their employees last week. And looks like other big tech companies are now starting to follow suit. It says here, Meta Platforms is planning to begin large-scale layoffs this week, according to people familiar with the matter, in what could be the largest round in a recent spat of tech job cuts after the industry's rapid growth during the pandemic. The layoffs are expected to affect thousands of employees, and an announcement is planned to come as soon as Wednesday, according to the people. Meta reported more than 87,000 employees at the end of September. Company officials already told employees to cancel non-essential travel beginning this week. So first of all, guys, Wall Street Journal is a very reputable publication. I'm sure that the information they have is from inside employees or sources either within Meta or who have sources within Meta. And so I would take this very, very seriously because the Wall Street Journal typically doesn't publish news that hasn't been verified by multiple sources. The planned layoffs would be the first broad headcount reductions to occur in the company's 18-year history, while smaller on a percentage basis than the cuts at Twitter this past week, which hit about half of that company's staff. The number of Meta employees expected to lose their jobs could be the largest to date at a major tech company in a year that has seen a tech industry retrenchment. That's an interesting word. I haven't heard of that in a while. A spokesman for Meta declined to comment, referring to Chief Executive Mark Zuckerberg's recent statement that the company would focus our investments on a small number of high-priority growth areas. Looks like he said on October 26th, so that means some teams will grow meaningfully, but most other teams will stay flat or shrink over the next year. In aggregate, we expect to end 2023 as either roughly the same size or even a slightly smaller organization than we are today. All right, so he's giving us some insights, and he doesn't want to create any panic. As you guys know, Meta just hasn't been doing very well financially, and they've been losing a lot of users not only on Facebook, but TikTok is also taking their lunch from Instagram. And so I think, in my opinion, Meta has to do something. They've been also losing a ton of money. I don't remember the exact amount, but they've been losing billions on their investment into the metaverse. As you guys know, a lot of different companies that have been investing in the space have been taking a major hit, along with NFTs, cryptocurrencies. It's all sort of interconnected, and I think Meta is not immune to it. And so I think this is, to be honest, a little bit overdue. And it pains me to say this because I do have contacts over at Meta. I have a couple good friends there. And at one point, I even wanted to work for that company. But I think they've just been burning a lot of cash. And as a public company, you have to show your shareholders that you're growing and that you're making money and that you're profitable. And when you're not, you're going to have to go through these sort of painful cuts. Let's continue to move on. It says the Wall Street Journal reported in September that Meta was planning to cut expenses by at least 10% in the coming months, in part through staff reductions. All right, so 10% doesn't seem too bad, but I'm sure leadership is trying to figure out, hey, is that the right number? Do we need to increase it? Because 10% I wouldn't say is a mass layoff, although, 10% of 87,000? That's still roughly, 8.8 thousand. And I would assume that a lot of these job cuts are probably going to come from high cost of living areas like New York City, San Francisco Bay Area, Seattle. And so I can imagine there's going to be a lot of people in these markets who are going to be impacted. The cuts expected to be announced this week follow several months of more targeted staffing reductions in which employees were managed out or saw their roles eliminated. Realistically, there are probably a bunch of people at the company who shouldn't be here, Mr. Zuckerberg told employees at a company-wide meeting at the end of June. Yeah, so Meta came out, I think, maybe it was about a month or two ago, and they were saying that there's a lot of employees who we probably overhire, or employees that we don't think are the right fit, or they're just not performing at the level that we expect. And I did hear that Meta was also going through PIPs, performance improvement plans. Basically, what they do is they put low-performing employees on a plan, and they say, hey, if you don't turn around, if you don't change your productivity and meet our expectations, then they're just going to cut you off. And they typically give you a couple months or maybe a couple weeks to turn things around. And it sounds like a lot of employees were put on this plan even earlier this year. And it sounds like now the hammer is going to drop. Meta, like other tech giants, went on a hiring spree during the pandemic as life and business shifted more online. It added more than 27,000 employees in 2020 and 2021 combined, and added a further 15,000 in the first 9 months of this year, about 1/4 of that during the most recent quarter. Yeah, I mean, that's what you call, growing too fast. There's just no way you're going to be able to sustain it. And especially with the market the way it is, with ad spending down, just losing a lot of users to TikTok and to other companies, other apps. this is sort of inevitable. The writing was on the wall, and I think they just didn't do a good job of really looking further out and being more conservative with their projections. Let's keep going on. Meta stock has fallen more than 70% this year. The company has highlighted deteriorating macroeconomic trends, but investors have also been spooked by its spending and threats to the company's core social media business. Growth for that business in many markets has stalled amid stiff competition from TikTok, and Apple Inc.'s requirement that users opt into the tracking of their devices has curtailed the ability of social media platforms to target ads. And so the article keeps continuing to go on, and I think I'm just going to pause there. Yeah, guys, Meta's in a tough place right now. Do I think they're going to recover? I hope so. I think so. They have a lot of smart people, but I know they've also been losing a lot of good people. And a lot of the bets that I think Mark is making on the metaverse, I think the jury's still out. I think there's still yet to be a valid use case why people should pay, X amount of dollars to get the headsets or, any kind of other devices that helps people enter the metaverse. And for me personally, as someone who owned the Quest, I also ended up selling that after a couple months because number one, I just didn't use it. And number two, when I did, it gave me a headache and I just didn't really find the value of it. And who knows, maybe the metaverse will grow. Maybe the Quest and all these other VR headsets will continue to evolve and really create some experiences that I think people are going to be willing to pay for. But right now, guys, even with Meta stock the way it is, I personally wouldn't invest in it. I think there's still a little bit more downside here. And for all these people who are going to be losing their jobs in the next couple of weeks and months, it's going to be tough, guys. But, we're in a recession now, so we got to figure out how to adjust. And it's going to be a tough, year, 2 years, maybe even longer. But sometimes, you need to go through these times to kind of clean out the system and get companies to really focus on their core business and stop spending all this money on hobbies. Anyways, guys, that's my personal thoughts on this. It's going to be tough for Meta, but I think long term they will be okay. But they're going to have to make some better investments and not go on these crazy hiring sprees. Drop your comments down below what you think, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.